Hello, everyone. This is Displace, and today I want to do something a little different. Let's talk about the pirate software drama. Now, as you probably already know, a few days ago, there was a OnlyFings guild run in Dire Mall that went horribly wrong and resulted in 2 guild members dying. Now, I would say that the issue isn't that these 2 people died, although it is sad, right? Deaths unfortunately do happen. I think that the bigger issue is how the players react when things go wrong. And that's what I would like to really talk about today. So I don't want to discuss the mechanics of the fight or what could have been done better in that regard. I think that there's already been a ton of people analyzing it and dissecting it from all of those angles, right? What I want to talk about is the non-mechanics of the fight, right? The team cohesion, so to say, because that plays just as much into the success of the dungeon as the mechanics. However, if you want to see one of the best analysis of the entire situation, Grubby has an excellent video where he breaks down quite a bit of stuff in it. Also, if you want to hear Snoopy's side of the story, Pika got on a call with him to get his point of view, which is actually pretty down to earth. And I'm going to link both of those videos in the comments below. I think the non-mechanics of the dungeons often gets overlooked, right? It's really like the difference between running a dungeon or a raid with a group of people that you know and are used to, or like a guild, compared to a pug group. It just feels different, and that can make or break any run. Because this is such a polarizing issue, I want to state that I don't know any of these streamers personally, and I've actually only heard of PirateSoftware before. So I've never watched any of the other streamers, and I'm not for or against anyone here, and I'm taking an objective look at the entire situation. So here's the clip from the start of the poll. And again, we're not going to talk about the poll or how it could have been done differently or better or anything like that, right? So as you can see, they're going to pull, and unfortunately, they soon pull another
that's
pack.
crazy. I've seen this thing.
All right, here comes the other pack. They're okay here, right? And then soon,
Boss is coming too. Watch out.
the boss comes.
Well, I got
Good call for the boss, but he pats up this,
Just run. Guitar, you dummy.
and that's where I want to stop, is the call for the run, right? So the decision for the run was made. There was no ifs, ands, or buts. There was no should we run. It was run, 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 run. A very panicked call, right? Now this was given by the rogue, and then Ozzy, who's the tank, agreed and called for the run as well. And this call is kind of the catalyst for all of the issues going forward. So to give you context, this wasn't the first time a call to run was made in this dungeon, right? They had a previous poll that went sideways, and Ozzy called for a run then as well. So let's take a look at that clip as well. Okay, here
This is a bit of a mission.
they're actually
Fun
trying to avoid a boss and go around the corner and pull the mobs
We go.
and kind of go up the ramp
Nice
to
distract.
avoid the boss because they're doing a tribute run.
Yeah.
Okay, so they're going to try and pull
Nice.
this pack here,
Just instantly go up the ramp
and they need to
just
pull
put
it
them on
up the ramp because apparently when the boss pats around,
it's
he
so
actually
fast.
aggroes if they're on the ramp.
Yep.
Kill the ads. Ads die first. He's on his way.
Right, great communication here.
Interrupt.
They want to keep going, and all of a sudden here you see they're going to pull that pack right over there. Yep,
I'm
and here
banished.
it
I'm
is.
banished. Bad
Behind
timing.
us as well.
And then the boss
He's
engage.
coming. He's coming. Just
Oh, we got another one? Yeah, fuck. Just run out. Everyone run down. Jump down. I'm putting down.
Okay,
Let's
and
just run out of here.
This is one thing that Ozzy is really good at here is his calmness, right? He's like, oh, we got another one? Just run out, right? So if you notice, the tank was the one who called for the run. The communications here were fantastic, right? They said the boss was coming. When he aggroed, Pirate said it's cooked, right? Not panic, but definitely saying I don't think we're going to survive this, right? The point here is that Ozzy was the one who made the call. He is the group leader at this point, right? So
Everybody run. Yamato,
the
you
retreat happens, right? And it's pretty stressful. Everyone
No, I don't
dropped
think
group. Snoopy was kind of
I'm
left in the
cancelled.
dungen, and he didn't get the abandonment timer, right? So when you
outside to the entrance.
drop
Vanish
group, a little
north.
notice comes up and says, "Hey, you're not in group. You're going to be
Okay,
ported out
Vanish.
in like 60 seconds."
Do you have a swift
Because he
move?
was the last
No, you don't trip
one,
me.
and he didn't drop group.
Are you
Yeah,
guys
one.
fine?
He
Are you
wasn't
guys
the one
fine?
who
Have a
dropped
dummy?
group. He stays in the
Put down
dungeon. He
another
doesn't get
dummy.
that timer.
Up
Can I
ahead.
dummy
Right.
again?
So he
I have
did
a
eventually
dummy.
get
I
out
have no more
safely,
dummies.
but this kind
I
of
have one, I have
raised
one.
the whole team's stress level.
Oh, fuck.
Dummy now.
And
Nice dummy.
and I
Over
want
to
to
you.
come back to this
Sprint, you
video
got it?
a
I
little
got
later to
intercept.
highlight some other things that I
don't
think
have
are
sprint. I
important
don't have
here.
sprint.
But for now, let's go back to the other poll, right? The one where everything went wrong. At this point, everyone's mood has completely changed. And I think because of this, Yamato, who's the rogue, right? Yamdef, he's like hyper aware, right? He sees them pull an additional pack, and then he sees the boss, and he just calls for a run, right? Is it a good call? I don't know. Was it a safe call? Absolutely, right? Whether or not this was salvageable at this moment is debatable. I've heard some people say it was, and others say it wasn't, right? And I don't want to get in, again, I don't want to get into the mechanics of this, right? The point is not if it's salvageable or not. The point is who is making the call. And it wasn't the tank, right? This puts the tank in a very difficult place because he may be thinking of how to pull this off, right? Okay, hey, we just pulled another pack. That's fine, right? He even says, I have shield wall. Okay, so from the tank's viewpoint, he's preparing, right? He's planning, okay, how do we pull this off, right? At this point, everyone was still above 90% health, so they were all in a good spot, right? And maybe Ozzy was thinking that too. I don't know, right? But what I do know is regardless of if Ozzy thought it was salvageable or not, everyone is now running. So he has to run as well, otherwise he dies, right? So he hears the call for the run, and he has to call it too. Once everybody else starts running, the tank has to call the run, or he needs to buckle down and get everybody back on the ads, right? That didn't happen. He called for the run, so now everybody's running, right? So this call to run leads to some arguments after all of the survivors get out. Yamato is upset that Pirate left, and Pirate's response is, well, you called to run. You're the shot caller. And Yamato said, I'm not the shot caller. He even admitted to being a noob.
Like you're not even like in danger.
Oh, I'm
You can at
100%
least
in
try a
danger.
Frost Nova. Like,
100%.
No, you're not.
No, 100% in danger. When your shot color says run, it's time to run, you run. That is how that works. You were the shot caller. You called for run. I ran.
I'm not a shot caller.
And I was out of mana.
Actually, I'm a noob, bro. I
You
think I
called
have
the
way
shot.
less experience than you have.
So here's my take on this. If you are not the shot caller, don't be calling the shots. Plain and simple, right? If Yamato is nervous about the pull or he thinks that they should run, he should check with questions, right? Hey, should we run? Ozzy, are you good? You know, something like that. Instead of panicking and saying, run, 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 he should have checked how the rest of the team was doing because he's not the leader. Ozzy is. If Ozzy felt like they could have had this, right? And there's some videos that support that theory, right? It's up to Ozzy to ask for a retreat. Okay. So all of this leads to the second issue, which is expectations. And this one's interesting. So the call for a run was made. So everyone starts running. Okay. So let's take a look at the run. All right. We see Pirate running. We see Yamato running. We see Sarah the priest running. Right. And they start to book it, just like they did in the last run. So if we take a look at the first run out, everybody books it. everybody starts dropping party to pour it out of the dungeon, right? So this was not a coordinated retreat. Now, Snoopy did try and help out a bit, but everyone starts to drop group. Pirate's like the first one out. Yamato vanishes and hearths. Sarah drops group. Ozzy drops group, right? It's kind of every man for himself, pretty much. Now, they did drop target dummies and everything, but really, when you drop group like that to pour it out, you're not caring about anyone else at that point. And for the second run out, it started the same exact way, right? Everybody was in for himself, right? So you see that it's Pirate, Sarah, and Yemdeath in that order, right? Pirate's out front, Sarah's next, and then the Rogue is trailing, right? This was very much also not a coordinated retreat. This was every man for himself. But in the second run out, it changed from a run out to a coordinated retreat. And this is where I think it changed, is Yamato asks
Ozzy, are you
for
fine?
heals.
Any grenades,
I
anything?
got last stand.
Heal him.
Yeah, you just heal me. Just come back a little bit.
Okay, so heal him. And then Ozzy says, yeah, come back a little bit just to heal me. Okay, so before this point, the healer was pretty much right behind Pirate and only turned back when Yamato called for heals. At this point, it becomes a coordinated retreat. And I think this is where expectations changed, at least for Yamato, right? And I'm not sure why. Because again, before this point, everybody was running. It was not coordinated. There was a lot of distance between Yamato, Sarah, Pirate, and the other two. Okay, so I'm not sure why at this point he feels
Pirate, why are you walking,
that the
bro?
expectations have changed and it's a coordinated
What are you
retreat.
talking about?
And
Why
he
am I
even
This is
says,
savageable. Come on, man.
Innovate you?
it's salvageable.
Just kill the
Right.
master.
Innovate.
Use
Innovate
Nova,
the
bro.
healer,
Come on.
kill the
And
masters.
it's at
We got
this moment that
sense of,
Yamato is
something?
upset for Pirate,
What's up
Do
now?
you see my
walking
mana?
away.
What am I supposed to do for you?
right? I can tell you, if he didn't call for heals, Sarah would have continued to run just like Pirate, and it would have been a run out just like the last time, and all of this drama would not exist. And the reason I say that is because no one had a problem when Pirate dipped out the first time. In fact, no one had a problem when anyone dipped out. There was no anger. There was no arguing. There was no nothing. Everybody dipped out. Everybody was fine. In fact, after they poured it out, they all flew back to the dungeon. Why there is a change of expectation here is something I don't understand, right? I haven't talked to Yamato. I don't know him, so I can't get his understanding here. But this is what I've learned about expectations in my life. There are only 2 times when you should expect something from someone, okay? First time is when they tell you that they can or will do something. And the second time is when they show you they can do something, right? Plain and simple. That's the only 2 times. If you're expecting something and neither of these 2 points are met, then you have an exponentially larger risk of being disappointed or upset that your expectations are not met. Now, I've heard that when it's a guild run, there's an unspoken rule that a run out should be a coordinated retreat. The problem is that this group showed that a run out is everyone for themselves, right? So the expectation has already been set by the prior retreat, right? Like 15, 20 minutes ago. Not only by Pirate, but by everyone else in the group. So there should be no expectation of anything different unless it's communicated, which it wasn't. I get the need for a coordinated retreat, right? It's to help make sure that the tank and the others live. If everyone always roached out and left the tank, they're going to die, and there'd be no tanks that would want to run dungeons. I mean, it's plain and simple, right? So I understand the need for this retreat, but it's a slippery slope, right? Because on one end, you want to try and save the others, but on the other end, what's the point if you die, right? So there's kind of this self-preservation that kicks in at some point during a coordinated retreat if you think that things are going worse. I know that it sounds like I'm defending Pirate's actions, but I'm not. I don't want to get into the argument on if Pirate is a roach or not, because here's the truth. Like I said before, if everyone else roached out, then this wouldn't even be an issue. Okay, now, I will say that I think Pirate should have come back to help. I know he was low on mana. He was scared of the charge and being a clothy, but he was pretty safe where he was, and he should have at least tried something to help out. At this point, emotions are running high, right? They are just off the scale. And it's understandable why Yamato is emotional right here. He's like, hey man, just help out like everyone else is, right? But in Yamato's anger, he is now telling Pirate how to play his class, right? He's saying things like, just use Nova. And at one point he said, how much does Nova cost? So the problem with this is this automatically puts Pirate in a defensive state, and they start arguing over the comms, right? Yamato is calling Pirate out. Pirate's defending his actions. And there's two important things here that I think continue to cause this to go south, right? One is that the comms should be kept clear so that the other team members can communicate, right? All that this arguing did was it increased the stress of the others and made the retreat even more difficult. Now, this is really difficult to do when you're frustrated and stressed out, but it is real simple. Mute yourself. If you are angry, that's fine, right? You have every right to be angry, but mute yourself. Don't engage. This is not the time to engage in arguments, name calling, or telling people how to play their class, or whatever the case is, right? This is not the time to do that. The second thing is, if you want someone to do something in a situation like this, right, where there's a lot of stress and there's a potential of your character dying and losing hours upon hours of game time that you put in, it is better to ask than demand. So you can see Yamada is demanding Pirate to do something. Pirate's walls keep getting higher, right? Higher and higher. Every time he demands something, Pirate's walls are like this, right? And he gets more entrenched in his original decision to leave and says he believes he can't do anything to help, right? I guarantee you that if Yamato would have changed the question from, hey, how much does Nova cost, to something like, can you come up here and Nova this pack, it would have made all the difference, right? The second one puts you in a mindset of, well, maybe, let me look, right? Let me look at my action bar. Oh, I do have enough for Nova, right? Or, oh, I don't have Nova, but I have Polymorph, or whatever the issue is, right? You start looking at your options and you start seeing what's available. It would have been even better coming from Snoopy or Ozzy because they're a lot more calm and collected. So even if Pirate is scared of the charge, which he admitted he was, right? He would have been more willing to say things like, hey, he charges, and Ozzy could have said something like, that's okay, I have aggro, right? Right there would have been, there would have been much better dialogue between the people who were still alive. Here's the second part of why you ask instead of tell, right? Because people don't like being told what to do, right? And they start shutting things off. So after he runs out, Pirate even said, I don't know what they expected. And this is why asking is so important. To lower those defenses, shift that mindset from I can't do anything to what can I do? That's what the questions are all about, right? And here's how I know Pirate was in a bad mindset. After everyone was out and Yamato was still telling him everything he could have done, Pirate's response was,
you go roll a mage then. See you around.
He was at that point where he was like, don't tell me how to play my class. All of this defensiveness leads to stubbornness, and stubbornness leads to you doubling down on your initial actions, right? Regardless of if there was a better decision to be made, you can't see it, right? It prevents you from taking a step back and learning how you can be better, right? Especially in that moment to where you're still, all your emotions are amped up, right? And this is one of the areas that I think is hurting Pirate the most, and something that he could definitely have handled better in this situation. We already know that there were things that he could have done better. There were ways that he could have gotten more mana, which was his main argument on why he couldn't help. Right? There have been tons of videos showing that he had Nova available, that he used his Blink twice, which was 1,000 mana. Polymorph was up. He had a mana gem, etc. Now, I don't care how good of a player you are, but no one is perfect. And there will be times you forget to either use a spell or you forget that you have an item in your bag, right? Especially in a stressful situation like this. Okay, so I don't fault him for not remembering that he had a mana gem or anything like that. I've done the same thing. If he would have gotten more mana and came back into help, would this have saved everyone? I don't know. Right? It's really hard to say. Could this have helped get additional ads down faster? Yes. Would this have changed the outcome? Maybe. Right? I don't know. The point is, improvement comes from learning from our failures. But you have to actually take the time to reflect on what has happened and how you can improve. You know how people get rank 1 or race to world first championships? They go through and analyze their previous dungeons and arenas and ask, hey, what could I have done better? How could have I handled this situation differently? Right? And after you see what you could have done better, own it. Hey, I forgot I had a mana gem, or I didn't want to die because I'm the guild enchanter, or I'm really scared of that charge. I've had a bad thing in the past where this has killed me, right? Whatever it is, own it. Own up to your mistakes and be honest and show people that, yes, mistakes were made, and this is what I learned from it. A perfect example of this is Pika had a call with Snoopy, who gave his point of view. He was very logical and said, hey, I think there were a lot of mistakes made. Here's where I messed up, right? He owned his mistakes. I pulled this pack because I was trying to shred. Then I, accidentally pulled this other pack over here, right? Here's what I was trying to do, which led to the mistake. And here's what I was trying to do when I was leaving. And here's what I could have done differently. It sucks when these things happen. And I think it's worse when the group gets into this cycle that they were in, where it just continues to make things even worse and continues to drag everybody else down. There was a lot of mistakes with this group, and that's okay. No one is perfect. Let me know in the comments below what you thought of this video and your thoughts about this run.